Whenever I say ma PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
You understand? And the degeneration continues. So I think all of us came to the conclusion that we need a reset. We cannot continue as if things are normal. Where we have reached, the degeneration continues unabated. And unless there's a reset, let's go back to basics. Let's start from the bottom. Because we are running into an abyss.
Because you see, if we are not careful,
we need a reset.
If we are not careful and we do not focus on a reset, what's going to happen is that there is another administration.
To sack all of them.
And on the basis of what has happened so far, they also decide to stretch it further. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then, what are we going to have as a country? If we decide that we're going on the same path, somebody did 2 years, somebody else can say, because this person did 2 years, I'll do 3 years. Another can say, oh, they did 3 years and you tolerated, I'll do 4 years. It must stop at a point. The hemorrhaging must stop.
Stop?
Yes.
We have to go back, reset.
That's what I'm saying. You
go back to the beginning. Reset, complete reset.
Randy, I would not argue with having a system that is actually built based on merit and people going there based on their competencies and all of those things. But what's interesting is that what you call a reset is what somebody else will call persecution. And it's happening. I mean, sometimes when we have these conversations, you have to be extremely objective in the kind of things. So you can even claim that, oh, it's degenerated to the point that it's worse than it's ever happened before and all of those things. But the clear examples of these things happening in every single government since 1992 of persons that are aligned politically that find themselves in these positions and these institutions. And so what would happen is that it's almost one of the same thing where you are removing a set of people and taking a new set of people to the same place. That doesn't actually solve anything.
But that's not what I'm talking about.
I'm making the point.
When I talk about reset, I'm not talking about that.
I feel that.
But that's what I was trying to tell you. That you get it wrong.
Yeah.
That's why I made the point that Party A comes in power. It does 2 inches of what is wrong. Then you have Party B, realizing that Party A was tolerated. Yes. They also decide to do 4 inches. So that's 6 inches of degeneration. Then another comes and sees that and decides to go another 6. As for some, on the basis of their level of greed and the word is not even coming. You know, it will come. Why? I've used this word very often. You know, they will now decide that even people were going 2 and 3 inches, as for them, they will go 55 inches. And where does it leave our country? So when we talk about a reset, it is not take people out and replace them with the same kind of thing or worse.
Randy, you know,
it's to ensure that the right things are done.
Exactly. I mean, I think that
what we come to, I want to see a situation. I'm being very honest about it. Where we say, look, you've committed crimes, you've done things against the law and so on. We are starting afresh. All those who have committed crimes and so on, I'm not interested in punishing people, retribution, and so I'm not interested in that. But we are starting today from step 1.
Amnesty.
These are the rules. Everybody is going to follow the rules to the letter. Let's build the country anew. That's what I want to see. Because we cannot continue on this trajectory. This trajectory would only lead us to doom. No matter what we have done, yes, last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and so on, we are starting from scratch. That's what I want to see. I want to see a complete restart. You understand? Because where we are headed,
look,
what can you see at the end?
If we are truthful and we are sincere to ourselves, we have bastardized almost every institution in this country, and it is not in our interest. We only have confidence and find comfort when we control power. when we don't control power, we then see the wrong in what has been done. And it is in their interest. You see, people must not live in a country and be confident about going about their duties and everything on the basis of a party that they sympathize with or belong to be in power. People are citizens of a country. Even non-citizens must be free and must have confidence in the institutions and must be able to go about their things freely. I hope you understand what I'm saying. If we think that there are problems with the civil service, let's find solutions to those problems. But we do not use that as a pretext. You understand me? If, for example, there is somebody is appointed a minister and he has a personal assistant or a consultant from private sector and he's brought a person on board, I can live with it. I can live with it. But what is happening is that you have it on a large scale. It's not one, it's not two. You know, you have, and people are occupying positions and playing roles that are specifically designated for public servants or civil servants to play. And I'm saying that it starts from 1 inch is taken, look on, 10 inches, 15 inches, 20 inches. Now we've gone to middle level.
Master.
Where are we going to get to?
Master.
The next time we'll get to cleaners.
Master, there's even a more fundamental problem. These are people who claim that the public sector is no good. Alright? That this country can only develop if it focuses attention on the private sector. And yet, as soon as their governments come into power, they are all running from the private sector, which is the engine of growth, into the public service. To do what?
Yeah, but government runs the public service. And government
if the private sector is the engine of growth, if the private sector is what everything happens, then they should use their knowledge and skills to run the private sector. Why is it that all of them are not running the public sector? The public sector is sweet.
What you have said is the excuse they use.
The public sector is sweet.
What you have said is the excuse they use to bring the private sector players into the public service under the guise of bringing in a certain private sector expertise and efficiency, you know, to come and help out the public service.
But that is problematic because that assumes that the public sector, given a certain level of expertise and so on, can function.
But that's a fact.
Is that a fact?
That's a fact.
But that's a fact they have been denying all their lives. That the public sector is no good.
Oh no!
No, but I think that we have to.
I'm saying that
as soon as their government takes power, the public sector which cannot deliver, the public sector which should not be the engine of growth and so on, all of them run from the private sector into the public sector.
Public sector
is
not fit for purpose. That if the public sector were that efficient, it will spare growth. It will create the conducive environment for the private sector to do all the things that it must do.
Let us all be honest.
Yes.
3 of us on this table. Let us be honest.
Yes.
You think that they ran from the private sector to the public sector because they are thinking about you? Because the place is sweet. Don't you stop this argument.
The point I'm making, you see,
it is the sweetness of the public sector which attracts them.
Because you don't get a point.
Like flies chasing sugar.
The point I'm making is that they use the problems of the public service as a pretext to do the things they are doing. As to what the real motivation is, I mean, you have raised some of it. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm saying that a government ought to be interested. Because you see, what we are doing now, the bastardization of a public service, is not a solution. At best, it can be a temporal. That is if we're able to accept those issues. But when it becomes the long-term, medium-term to long-term solution, then it means that the government itself is bereft of ideas as to how to make the public service responsive and to make it fit for purpose and functional as far as what we require is concerned.
Is it Randy? I mean, it's a bit by the way.
So if you were, so if, for example, you were in the private sector and you were brought in under those things, you are not a public service personnel. In any case, you are not even on their compensation structure. Something differently has been created for you. Why do you expect to still sit there?
Exactly. But the point I'm trying to...
When things change, why do you expect to still sit there?
Randy, look,
okay.
this country, this country, it's a fact. One signature by one public official can transform somebody from a pauper into a multi-billionaire. That's a fact. That's the system we have built. We have built a system based entirely on privilege. That's the system we have built, a system based on privilege. One signature. Now, if you are so powerful that your signature can transform a pauper into a billionaire, would you be living on this terrible conditions that civil servants and public servants are supposed to be living through? This is the basis of the corruption. This is the basis of the corruption. You will sign one letter for somebody to become a billionaire, and then at the end of 3 months, you can't pay your children's school fees. Who are you? Angel Gabriel, or Angel who? Angel Joshua, or whatever. This is the basis.
Randy.
We have to dismantle the system of privilege.
Randy, so you see, you have to take it from a certain standpoint. So if you look at the structure of the public service, for example, where you have a ministry that is superintending over an agency, right? That's per the structure. And then you have this agency actually having all the resources more than the ministry does. And sometimes the ministry actually has to go to this agency to support its operations and activities and all of those things, right? Now, what it does as well is that you also have other public sector institutions that are doing extremely well. You would actually walk into this institution and you probably not think that it's a public sector institution, right? So we shouldn't, if you like, paint all of them in the same, with the same brush. I mean, put them in the same bracket, because you have institutions, because for argument purpose, I don't want to mention names, but there are certain public sector institutions that are run efficiently and by historically have done extremely well based on one of the persons that have been put there and how it's been run, right? So we need to be able to pick those ones that for one reason or the other are having major challenges and deal with it. I feel that, for example, there has to be a certain harmonization of our public service, right? And the reason why most people probably will clamor to go to public sector agency A or B is as a result of the, if you like, the uneven nature of compensations and remuneration. So, for example, like what's the single spine sought to do, whereby I'm a degree holder, I have 5-6 years experience, I work for government in agency A. However, another person works in another government institution, has the same qualifications as I have, and has more benefits than I do. And I think that we have to do a more, if you like, serious work in that particular space to harmonize the space. Now, once you're able to do that, where you have, if you like, brackets of, okay, this is what you would earn, these are the benefits that will accrue to you, you will not have a situation where you have this.
But that doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist like
How?
that. It doesn't exist like that. And that's why I don't want to mention names, because you can have a public sector institution that has its own conditions of service and all of those things, as opposed to other.
Yes.
So if maybe I was working in this one, and by dint of my appointment, I'm supposed to be transferred to this place, I'll actually resist going there, right? And so some kind of work has to be done in terms of harmonizing that particular space. And then also even the relationship between the ministries and the agencies, where it's very clear that there are certain agencies where those persons there, in terms of CEOs, actually have more clout than the ministry by dint of what
is it also not because of responsibilities I mean, what they actually run, what they do.
But by the very structure of what is supposed to be, it shouldn't be the case at all. And because when it comes to, I mean, you are a corporate governance person, right? And these are certain things that also create challenges even within the space in terms of looking for territory and who is who and all that. And if you put your ears on the ground, there are certain instances where across certain places you have that particular challenge where somebody feels that,
and in the past, I mean, you could raise an issue of qualification to become a minister and one for CEO. I mean, but we know that the political class has even bastardized the issue. So now even speaking about what qualifies people to become CEOs is also another issue. I don't know. But
and so I think that the system...
To be honest, I mean, when...
So I feel that we can do a lot of work in that particular space where the public service and then supposed to become a bit more efficient, and then that's what it's supposed to do. But I don't believe that if we lump all of them together, I mean, we're doing a good job, because there are certain institutions that by dint of where you find, just because of this particular program, I don't want to mention it, but they walk into a public sector institution and you can tell that these are people who know exactly what they are doing. And then you can walk into another one and you would have these sentiments. But they will also tell you that we are having these challenges. And these are the reasons why maybe we're unable to do what we are supposed to do, right? But if you create a certain harmonization of the environment, I'm sure that would help.
All right. So for
one good thing
yes
that this particular platform is doing is the extent to which it's exposing public officials. I like to watch this program, Good Morning Ghana, because the public officials are brought here and they have to deal with the issues. And most of the time, you feel sad. Basic facts about their own institutions, they don't know nothing. Master, am I lying?
You have to give me an example.
All right. So guess what? I guess that I need to do a recent Ghana month. Yes, and maybe I'll start something for our audience who are watching via YouTube, Facebook, all our social media handles, Twitter, all of that. Does Ghana need a reset? Does Ghana need a reset?
But is this a debate?
It's a question. No, it's a question.
Oh, Randy.
I need you.
Randy, don't waste your time.
And
as for the reset, we need it. And we need it urgently.
No, I want to hear from them as well.
You think they don't know?
No, I want to hear from them.
Different?
I want to hear from them, and I want to hear their reasons. Not just, it's not a yes or no.
Because my brother here believes
does Ghana need a reset? If yes, why? If no, why? I want to read your comments on that. And really, I think that I probably need to consider doing a reset Ghana month, where maybe for a full month we'll be thinking about resetting this country and what we need to do and where we need to tackle. We'll be back shortly.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.